What's going on, everyone? My name is Ian, and today's December 1st, which sadly means the college football regular season has come to an end, but it means we finally get to debate with a bunch of strangers online about who should make the postseason, which is honestly the best thing I can think of. So today, we're going to go over who should be in the college football playoff and who will be in the college football playoff. These are going to be two different things, and I want to stress that now. But before we do that, we have to go over kind of the two schools of thought about who should be in it. When deciding who's going to be in the playoff, the two main things that always come up are putting in the best teams in the country and putting in the most deserving teams. That's the big question, kind of debate that everything can boil down to. Because when you think about the best teams, it's just the teams where in your mind you're like, you know what, they might have one more loss than X, Y, or Z, but I still think if they played each other, this team is probably going to win, so we should put them in anyways. On the other hand, the most deserving is just what it sounds like. If you look at a team and their resume, and you're like 11-1, they've got some good wins, why are we leaving them out for a team that's 10-2 or 9-3? You're on the same wavelength with that. The problem is the committee doesn't exactly lean one way or the other when it comes to these two schools of thought, and they kind of lie somewhere in the middle, but a lot of the times their reasoning isn't consistent across the board when they're making decisions. I personally believe that the most deserving teams should be in the playoff, and the reasoning behind that is, why do we play the games if that's not what's going to happen? If we're just going to put the best teams in, then there's really no point in having a season, and we can just look at the Vegas odds and say, all right, this team's going to be favored over everybody, they're the 1 seed. This team's favored over everybody except the 1 seed, they're the 2 seed, and so on. But that's not how sports work. So we have to make the games matter. That is the key point here, where we have to look at the games, and even if you think one team is better than the other, but they haven't performed that well, that sucks for them. They didn't perform to their fullest when they had the chance to, just like everybody else. So even if they are a top 12 team, but their resume doesn't say so, you can't really put them in. With that being said, these are the 12 teams that are going to make the playoff. Not what I think should happen, but what is going to happen. Obviously, there's the 5 auto bids for the conference champs. So you're going to get the Big Ten champ, the SEC champ, the Big 12 champ, and the American champ. Notice I said American and not the ACC. This is a very weird year. So both Tulane and North Texas are either ranked at the top of the 25, like right on the edge, or they're just missing it. The current rankings haven't come out yet. They come out tomorrow. So I can't say for sure, but both of those teams are going to be right on the edge. Whoever wins that is going to secure a spot. And then the last spot, it's very weird. Among those conference champions, there's still one more auto bid. So it'll either go to UVA if they win the ACC. God forbid they lose to a 7-5 Duke, because there's no way the committee puts that team in. And if that does happen, then JMU, who hopefully wins the Sun Belt, will take that last spot. If both UVA and JMU lose, I have no fucking idea what's going to happen. I really don't. I don't think you can put Duke in. You can't put Troy in, obviously. I don't know who the next best team would be, and I don't even want to think about it, so we're not going to do that. The at-large bids are pretty simple. You're going to get the loser of both the Big Ten and the SEC conference champion games. They're a given. Ohio State, Indiana, whoever loses, doesn't matter. Bama, Georgia, whoever loses, doesn't matter. Do I think Bama should be in? Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, all going to make it. That makes 11 teams. 1 spot left. They absolutely should not make it, but it will go to Notre Dame. Why Notre Dame has the edge over Miami might be the most criminal thing to ever happen in college football. Well, not the most criminal, but it's pretty bad. Because the two teams have the same record, and they faced head-to-head, and one beat the other. Do I think Notre Dame is better? I definitely do. But, like I said earlier, the games have to matter. So why are we playing a Miami versus Notre Dame game if the head-to-head matchup here means nothing? It really doesn't make any sense. But unfortunately, the committee currently has Notre Dame at 9. Meanwhile, they have Miami at 12. I can't imagine anything changes big enough to get Miami in over Notre Dame, considering neither team has another game to play at this point. I've seen plenty of people online say, you know what, if Notre Dame and Miami played again today, Notre Dame would probably be, what, a touchdown favorite or something like that, and I would bet on Notre Dame. And I see that stuff and I think, you know what, I would probably bet on Notre Dame too if that were to happen, because I don't think it's the same teams really that played back at the start of the year. But none of that matters. The games have to matter. We have to give them meaning, or else there's no reason in playing them. So I can still think that Notre Dame is better and that they would win, but they had the chance to, and they didn't. So we can't reward them for these hypotheticals we make up in our mind about who would win versus who actually won. Despite all of this, I don't think either Notre Dame or Miami should even make the playoff. They shouldn't sniff it. Why? Because BYU exists. BYU is 11-1, a better record than both these teams. They only have one ranked win coming against 13 Utah, which still not a bad win, even though it's only one. But the big thing is they have a better record, and their loss is to a top 4 team in the country. This Texas Tech team, absolutely legit. We need to start giving them respect. And I think we need to give BYU respect too. They took care of business every week of the season, except when they had to go on the road and play a top 5 team, and they also got a ranked win. They really did, not everything they could, but they did most of the stuff they should. You know what? There's been plenty of teams out here who have lost to top 5, top 10 teams. There's plenty of teams that are going to make the college football playoff that have unranked losses. But we're leaving out a team because they didn't sweep the table and they lost to a top 5 team on the road. It really doesn't make any sense in my mind. I think BYU has to be in over Notre Dame or Miami if we're really going to give the teams that deserve to be in the spots. But I'm not the committee, so I can't really do anything about that, unfortunately. Anyways, it's hard to say what happens from here on out, other than the fact that the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to win the national championship. If you disagree with me, argue with the wall. I don't care. But thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. If I got it right with who I think should be in, if I'm right with what is going to end up happening, or if I'm wrong and you disagree. I'll hear anything out unless you think Texas should make it, because they should not. Horns down. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Peace out.